Do you know how high the mortality rate of astronauts is? Over 4. Behind this heartbreaking data, it makes every astronaut before liftoff mentally prepared for the possibility of sacrificing at any time. However, there have been 4 fatal space disasters in history, which were caused by the foolishness and negligence of the ground launch department, leading to the unfortunate deaths of astronauts who could have survived. Tragically, next, the captain will reveal to everyone the truth behind these 4 shocking space accidents. If before carrying out a space mission, you know for sure that there is no return this time, would you still enter the spacecraft without hesitation? Soviet cosmonaut Komarov can firmly tell you, yes. In 1967, Komarov sadly told his colleagues, "I will not come back alive from this flight." Because a month earlier, Komarov and his close friend Gagarin had discovered during the inspection of Soyuz 1, the spacecraft has as many as 203 major structural issues. They unanimously believed the launch mission should be postponed. However, those who honestly reported the spacecraft's problems, all without exception, were demoted. It was only at this moment that they realized the mission could not be delayed. On the launch day of April 23rd, Gagarin even put on his spacesuit early, wanting to go to space in place of Komarov to die, but Komarov still managed to board Soyuz 1 before him. The entire launch process went very smoothly. However, the initial beauty was just a facade. After liftoff, nightmares began to occur one after another. The spacecraft's solar panels couldn't unfold at all. The automatic stabilization system completely failed, although Komarov, with his extensive experience, managed to solve all the issues. But when manually returning and being only 7,000 meters above the ground, the spacecraft's parachutes got tangled and couldn't open. Komarov also ended up burning to charcoal in despair. He was burned to charcoal, never able to return to his wife and 2 children. A similar tragedy also happened in the American Apollo program. In 1967, astronaut Grissom, who was expected to be the first man on the moon, along with 2 other outstanding astronauts, at the Kennedy Space Center launch pad, began ground tests. Just like with Apollo 1, they had long discovered numerous flaws in this mission, especially the 100% pure oxygen in the spacecraft command module was a potential death sentence. Yet, this was ignored by the American Space Agency at the time. During the test, with the appearance of a small spark inside the spacecraft filled with pure oxygen, a large fire broke out and quickly spread. Just 17 seconds later, Grissom and the other 2 astronauts were engulfed by the fire. The agonizing roars and cries abruptly ceased. The airtight hatch, originally designed to protect astronauts, cannot be opened at this moment. This became the final straw that broke the camel's back. By the time the hatch opens in 5 minutes, the tragedy will be irreversible. You can't even imagine. The 2 most tragic space shuttle disasters in the United States, all caused by human error. January 28, 1986, the American Space Shuttle Challenger embarked on the most anticipated flight in history. They planned to conduct a live space teaching session. However, the company contracted for this flight, Morton Thiokol, along with NASA engineers, were well aware that in cold weather, the O-rings of the solid rocket boosters were likely to fail at low temperatures, leading to a dangerous explosion. However, the management ignored the engineers' warnings about this issue. With a gambler's mindset, they were determined to launch the Challenger, ultimately led to the tragedy. Just 73 seconds after liftoff, the Challenger exploded live on television worldwide. Exploded directly in midair. What's even more cruel is, at the moment the aircraft disintegrated, the 7 astronauts likely did not die instantly. Instead, they went through a long free fall of 20 kilometers, before ultimately despairingly plunging into the sea. Following the Challenger space shuttle accident, NASA still hadn't shaken off their bad habit of blind confidence. February 1, 2003, before the Columbia space shuttle launched, NASA had already discovered foam debris that had damaged the shuttle's wing. This potential hazard was repeatedly raised and emphasized. Even the US Air Force actively suggested using satellites to conduct detailed imaging of the shuttle, but due to the complexity and high cost of a rescue mission, in addition, out of the 79 space shuttle missions, 65 of them had the issue of foam shedding. Therefore, they decided to take another gamble. This gambler's mentality ultimately led to the disintegration and explosion of the aircraft during re-entry. None of the 7 astronauts survived. What is even more incomprehensible is this series of hidden dangers. The astronauts were kept in the dark all along, until their lives were forever lost in the vastness of space. They also didn't know that they had been deceived.